Hi guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Toy YouTube channel. In today's video I'm bringing you another new crochet tutorial, and this time it's a one-piece tutorial. So this is the first ever one-piece crochet tutorial that I've ever done, and it's going to be for Chouchou. So this is what he looks like. He does stand up by himself as well, and yeah, that's what he looks like. So I wanted to make this because I've really gotten into One Piece recently because of the live action on Netflix, and I started the anime and I was just watching it and thinking, what could I crochet from this, because I'm not particularly good at crocheting people, so that was kind of out of the question, at least for now. But then when I saw Chouchou, I thought that would be a good thing to crochet, so yeah, I thought I'd make a quick pattern for that. So yeah, if you're interested in finding out how to make this, then keep watching this video. For this tutorial you'll be needing aran weight yarn in beige, and then a fairly small amount in pink, this is for the tongue, and then a scrap amount in black, this is for adding the eyebrows and nose details. You could use embroidery thread as well for that if you wanted to. Then you'll be needing your crochet hook. I've got a 4mm crochet hook to go with my aran weight yarn. If you're using a heavier or lighter weight of yarn, just size up or down your hook as required. You'll be needing some scissors. You'll need a yarn needle for sewing things together. You'll be needing some safety eyes. I've got two 6mm safety eyes here, black ones, with the backs as well. You can obviously embroider the eyes or use felt or something else instead if you don't have safety eyes. Then I've got some stuffing. You'll need more than this, but this is just to demonstrate. I've got my stitch marker to help me keep track of the rounds. And then finally my pins to help keep things in place when I'm sewing them down. We're going to start off by crocheting the head, so you're going to need your beige yarn for this, and we're actually going to be crocheting around a foundation chain rather than starting with a magic circle. So we're going to start off by chaining 6. Then starting from the second chain from hook, so this one here, we're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets down the chain. You can either work into this front loop or you can work into the back bump. I highly recommend working into the back bump when you're working around a foundation chain, so that's what I'm going to be doing here, but you can technically do either and it will still work fine. So 2, 3, 4. Then in this final chain we're going to do an increase, so 2 single crochets into this chain. And now we're going to work that same pattern along the other side of the foundation chain, which is going to create our round. So we're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets along the chain. And when I'm doing this, I am going to make sure to crochet over the tail as well, because that just ensures that it's secured in place and you don't have to do any additional knotting for that. So this is my 4th single crochet, and then I'm going to do an increase in the final stitch. Okay, so that's round 1 complete. I've got 12 single crochets now all the way around. At this point you are going to want to pull on this tail a little bit because it will be a bit bumpy at the moment, so just pull on that and it will flatten that out at the back there. And yeah, now we are ready to start round 2. We're going to start round 2 now, so we're going to start off by doing an increase, and I would recommend that you do use a stitch marker whenever you're doing these rounds, because they're not just standard, you know, increases in increments of 6 like you would normally have sort of spread out evenly around the piece. They're actually sort of dotted around in different places to try and give us a more of a rectangular look to this head. So yeah, I would recommend that you always use a stitch marker to mark the beginning of the round. So that's my increase done. Then I'm going to do 3 single crochets. Then I'm going to do 3 increases. Then I'm going to do 3 single crochets, and then finally 2 increases. And that gets us to 18 single crochets at the end of round 2. Now I am just going to talk you through the next few rounds, because if you know how to do single crochets and increases, then you'll have no problem with any of these. So for round 3 you're going to do increase, 4 single crochet, increase single crochet, increase single crochet, increase single crochet, 3 single crochet, increase single crochet, increase single crochet to get you up to 24 single crochets. And I am obviously going to put all of this on screen as well in case you can't follow along with what I'm saying. Then round 4 you're going to do single crochet increase, 6 single crochet increase, single crochet increase, single crochet increase, 8 single crochet increase, single crochet increase to get you up to 30 single crochets. Round 5, single crochet increase, 8 single crochet increase, 2 single crochet increase, 2 single crochet increase, 9 single crochet increase, 2 single crochet increase to get you up to 36. Then for round 6 to 23 you're just going to single crochet all the way around, so that'll be 36 single crochets in each of rounds 6 to 23. I'll meet you at the end of round 23 as we're then going to start doing some decreases. So I've reached the end of round 23 and this is what it's looking like now. So what we're going to do at this point is to add the safety eyes. Now you can, either side of this can be the front side of the head, so just pick whichever side you think I guess looks the neatest or whatever. So I think I'm going to pick this side, but you could do this other side as well. And then we're going to place the safety eyes now while we've still got access to the back of the head, so that we can then use the backs of the safety eyes to secure them in place. Now obviously if you want to wait until you've fully crocheted the head and stuffed it before you decide where to place your eyes, you can do that as well, but just bear in mind that you're going to have to use glue or something like that to keep the safety eyes in place. So I'm going to place these roughly between rounds 12 and 13, about 3 single crochets apart. So I'm just going to count down to round 12 and 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then this is 13. So if I maybe place one here to start with, I can always move it if I need to, and then count 1, 2, 3 single crochets, and then place it in the 4th one. Just see if that seems to be the center. And what you can also do at this point, you can also stuff the inside of the head as well, just to see if that would look like the center point once the head is fully stuffed. I might just try moving it over 1 stitch to the left on both sides, just to see if that looks better, or if I think that how it was before was better. I think how it was before was better, so I think I'm just going to stick with that. And then you can just add the backs onto your safety eyes. So just like that. Now you can also add the other face details at this point, so you could add the eyebrows and also add the nose at this point if you wanted to as well, but I am just going to wait and do that at the end. And I think especially for the nose it makes sense to wait, because then you'll see more what it looks like at the bottom of the head and you'll be able to position that properly. So now we can continue with round 24. In round 24 we're going to start decreasing, and these will just be standard decreases in increments of 6 spaced out equally around in each round. So for round 24 we're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets, and I am just continuing to use my stitch marker here just so I don't forget where the round started. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a decrease, so start off like you're doing a normal single crochet. Then rather than yarning over and pulling through both loops on your hook, go into the next stitch, pull up another loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And then we're going to just do that pattern all the way around, so I do it once more. 4 single crochets, and then a decrease. So I'll meet you when you've done that all the way around. That should get you down to 30 single crochets at the end of round 24. So I got to the end of round 24. I'm just going to talk you through the next couple of rounds now, because they're just, again, standard decrease rounds in increments of 6. So for round 25, you're going to do 3 single crochet decrease and repeat that pattern 5 more times to get you down to 24 single crochets. Then for round 26, 2 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 18. I'll meet you at the end of round 26, as we then need to stuff the head. I got to the end of round 26 and I've stuffed the head, and this is what it looks like now. So there's just a couple rounds left to do now. So for round 27, you're going to do single crochet decrease and repeat that 5 more times to get you down to 12 single crochets. Then round 28, decrease all the way around to get you down to 6. I'll meet you at the end of round 28 and show you how to close up the remaining hole. I've completed round 28, so now we just need to close up this remaining hole. So I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a little bit of a tail, pull the yarn through like this, get my yarn needle, and then we're going to weave this yarn tail through the front loop of each of those final 6 stitches. And if you're not sure where to start, just count back 6 from the one you just did. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is where we're starting. And then once you've done that, just make sure that you pull tightly so that the hole closes up, and then you can weave your yarn tail ideally through to the back of the head, and then just cut that. Okay, so that is the head mostly complete. The last thing that we need to do is to embroider the nose and the eyebrows, so let's do that now. I'm going to start off with the eyebrows, which we want to come up to a couple of rounds above the eyes. So just trying to think where I'm going to start that off, potentially here. And don't worry, you can always undo it if you make a mistake, so feel free to try a few different ways and see what you like best. We want the eyebrows to come slightly next to the eyes as well, so this is a good stitch, I think, for us to go through. So let's see how that looks. Might try coming up a little higher. So I'm going to keep that stitch there, but I'm going to try maybe coming up a little bit higher and see if I prefer how that looks. I think I do prefer that, so I think I'm going to leave it like that on that side, and then try and match it off a bit on this side. So I don't think I'm too far off actually coming through this stitch here, because that's on the same round. But I'm just trying to think, do I need to go here, or would this be okay? Let's try this and see how it looks. I'm not sure if that is even. They're never going to be exactly the same on both sides, to be honest, or at least I can never seem to get exactly the same. But let's try coming through maybe this stitch here, see if that looks better. I think that looks better than it did before, so I might just leave it at that. I may just try and play around with this a little bit to try and maybe move it across just slightly to the right, not quite in this stitch, but just ever so slightly. But this clip has gone on for a while now, so I will show you what I end up going with for the eyebrows. This is the final positioning I'm going to stick with for the eyebrows, I think, so I just moved this over ever so slightly to the right, and I tried to move this point up a little bit as well, just to try and make it as symmetrical as possible. As you can see, it's still not fully symmetrical, but it's close enough, and I can't be bothered to do any more on this, so I'm just going to leave it at that. So you can weave the yarn tails a bit more throughout the head if you want, but I think they're probably secure enough at this point, so I'm just going to cut both of those tails, poke that black bit of yarn in so that hopefully we don't see that anymore. And now we're going to move on to embroidering the nose. Now for the nose, I'm going to count down 8 rounds from the eyes, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to position the nose sort of just below round 8. If you notice there's little bits of stuffing coming out already, I did already attempt this and it was a bit of a disaster, so I've just scrapped that video, unpicked it all, and I'm going to just start again because it went on for a long time and I still wasn't happy with the final nose. So let's try that again. I am going to just pick which stitch to go into first. I'm going to just basically try and do a few lines of black to create a nose shape. So we'll go in this one and then we'll go across to, I think, this one. Then we're going to do another line of doing exactly the same thing, and then come out slightly beneath where we started this time. I don't know if I've quite done that right, but let's do another line here. Now we need to do a few shorter lines. That's where I'm trying to pick a good stitch to come out from. It just doesn't look quite right on the right hand side. There's too much beige there, so I don't think that was the right stitch to go from. One day I'll get this right. Let's try moving across a little bit. So now we're starting from here and going into that same stitch that we did before. Maybe if I do another one, it will cover up that bit of beige that's showing. I don't like that. Okay, that did help quite a lot actually. So just trying to use my fingers to create the sort of shape that I actually want for the nose. That's actually not too bad. That's definitely better than the one that I created last time. Not sure whether to leave it there or to try and add a little bit more. I think I'm going to leave it there because if I keep adding to this I'm just going to end up regretting it, I think. So I'm just going to weave the yarn tails through the head a little bit. Cut them. Poke that back inside. And now we're ready to move on to the body. So for the body, again, we need our beige yarn, but this time we are going to be using a magic circle to start off the round. So for round 1, you're going to do 6 single crochets into a magic circle. And then close up the hole by pulling on that yarn tail. So that's round 1. Then for round 2 you're going to increase all the way around, which will get you up to 12 single crochets at the end of the round. And I would recommend crocheting over the yarn tail for the first few single crochets. And if you notice you've still got a bit of a hole in the middle there, just pull on the yarn tail again. Okay, so at the end of round 2 you should have 12 single crochets. I'm just going to talk you through the remaining rounds now because it's just a mixture of single crochets, increases and decreases, which we've already done for the head, so you should hopefully be familiar with these stitches now. So for round 3 you're going to do single crochet increase, repeat that pattern 5 more times to get you up to 18 single crochets. Round 4, 2 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 24. Round 5, 3 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 30. Round 6, 4 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 36. Round 7 to 12 single crochet all the way around. Round 13, 4 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 30. Then rounds 14 to 17 single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you when you finish round 17, as there will be a few rows that we need to crochet to finish this off to sort of create a neck appearance. I've just finished round 17 and added some stuffing, and this is what it looks like. As I mentioned before, we're going to do a few rows to finish this off. So you're going to turn your work and work 10 single crochets for row 1. Then for row 2 you're going to turn and work 9 single crochets. And then finally for row 3 you're going to turn and work 8 single crochets. And that's it. So now we're going to cut our yarn, leave quite a long tail for sewing. And now we're ready to sew this to the head. So I've used some pins to pin the body onto the head like this. So you're going to want to make sure that obviously you're sewing the body to the side where we haven't already added the eyes and the face details, like this. And then if you need some help with positioning, I would suggest that the top of the body should be roughly about round 6-ish, and then the bottom of the body should stop at about round 15 here. So that's why I've added this little pin here. It's not actually connecting the body to the head, but it's just to remind me that I kind of, when I get to this point, I don't want to sew any further down than that. I want to stop there and start going across at that point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be whip stitching all the way around to sew this down. I'm not going to be doing anything differently than just whip stitching like this. And we will need to add a bit more stuffing just before we finished sewing all the way around, because we need to kind of fill out this neck part here, which is why we've done those extra rows. So at this point I'm probably just going to take these pins out because I've already sewn all of that part down, and now I'm just going to work along here. Just like this, and then when I get to roughly this point here, I'm just going to start sewing round the other side rather than going down any further along the head. So I'll meet you when I'm nearly finished and show you me adding the additional stuffing. I've nearly finished sewing the body all the way around, but now I'm just going to add some extra stuffing before I actually do that, just to pad out this neck part a little bit more, otherwise it looks a little bit strange if we don't. I think that should be enough. Okay, so that's all sewn all the way around. Now, before I weave that yarn tail in, I'm just going to double check that I'm happy with what I've done here, because this is kind of the last chance for me to undo anything. But I think that looks good, and to be honest, you don't see too much of the body because the head is so big anyway. It kind of just almost gets hidden by the head, to be honest. So if your sewing is not 100% perfect, it's really not the end of the world, but I think that's fine. So now I'm just going to weave that yarn tail through the body or through the head. And cut that. Okay, so that's the head and the body done now. I think what we're going to move on to next is the ears. So I've already gone ahead and fully crocheted one of the ears here, and I've nearly finished this second one here. I've skipped ahead a little bit because the rounds are very simple for this, so I'm just going to talk you through them so that you can go away and do those, and then we can finish the ear off together. So what you're going to do is rounds 1 and 2 are exactly the same as for the body. So if you can't remember, that was round 1 6 single crochets in a magic circle, then round 2 increase all the way around to get you up to 12 single crochets, then simply for rounds 3 to 10 single crochet all the way around, and that's where I've got to here. So I'm at the end of round 10. Meet me when you finish that and I'll show you how to close up the ear. So once you finish round 10, we're going to work 6 slip stitches across the top of the ear to close it up into both sides at the same time. So just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then just cut your yarn, leaving a tail long enough for sewing. And these are my 2 ears ready to sew onto the head. I've sewn down one of the ears and I'm going to do the other one with you now. So obviously these need to go either side of the head. I don't like to have this sort of slip stitch side showing. I prefer the other side to be showing, so I'm just going to bring my yarn tail around the other side so that it's in the right position to start sewing. Then I'm just going to sort of use my fingers to put this in place. Sorry if this is going slightly off camera, but I'm just trying to have a look and make sure that this looks roughly symmetrical, but I think that looks okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to whip stitch along the top to start with. Always just checking as I do this that the positioning is right. I actually think this might need to come up a little bit, so I'm just going to unpick what I've done and start this maybe one round higher. Just checking there. I think that's better. Yeah. So that's the top of the ear slip stitched down. And now what I want to do is do a couple of side stitches on either side as well, just to make the ear a little bit flatter to the head rather than sticking out so much. Now I'm going to do some at the front. Okay, so once you've done that and you're happy with how that looks, you can just weave that yarn tail through to the back of the head and cut it as we have done with everything else. So next thing that we're going to do is crochet the tongue, so you'll need your pink yarn for this. So I've got my pink yarn ready to do the tongue, so we're going to start off by doing 5 single crochets in a magic circle for round 1. And then for round 2 we're simply going to increase all the way around to get us up to 10 single crochets. Okay, so at the end of round 2 I've got my 10 single crochets. Now for rounds 3 to 5 you're simply going to single crochet all the way around, so I'll meet you at the end of round 5. I've completed round 5, so now we're going to just do 5 slip stitches across the top, exactly kind of like how we did for the ears, just to close this up. And then just cut your yarn, leaving a tail long enough for sewing. And now we're going to sew this underneath where the nose is. So now I'm going to sew the mouth about one round underneath where the nose is, and I'm going to be doing a whip stitch along the top. And then it's up to you, you can sew along the bottom as well, but I found that made the tongue stick up a little bit, so you might want to do a kind of similar thing to what we did on the ears and just sew down maybe one stitch on either side just to help the tongue stay down a little bit better, and then you can just weave your yarn tail through the head and cut it to finish sewing the tongue. We're going to move on to crocheting the legs now, so we're going to start with the back legs, which are made in 2 parts. There are these 2 circular parts, and then there's going to be a foot underneath, so these are kind of the legs, and then there's going to be a separate foot for each side. So these are the legs. I've gone ahead and crocheted them because it's pretty much just rounds again from the head, from the body, repeated for this, so it's not too complicated. I'll just talk you through the rounds for these pieces. So for round 1 you're going to do 6 single crochets in a magic circle. Round 2, increase all the way around to get you up to 12. Round 3, single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 18. Round 4, 2 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 24. Then rounds 5 to 6, single crochet all the way around. Then just cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing, and obviously make 2 of these. So once you've got these ready, I'll show you how to sew them to the body. I've gone ahead and sewn down one of the back legs, but I'm going to do the other one with you now. So you're going to want to position it so that the bottom of the leg is roughly at round 5 of the body, and then just add a couple of pins in to keep it in place. And you're going to want to make sure that you stuff before you finish sewing all the way around as well. But I'm just going to be whip stitching all around for this. So I'll show you me starting that. And I know it looks a bit weird now, but once we've added the feet, you'll understand why we've put these sort of circular shapes on either side of the body. Okay, so I'm just going to do that until I maybe get to about here, and then I'll add some stuffing, but I'll show you when I do that. So I've nearly sewn all the way down, and I've added my stuffing now, as you can see, so you're going to want to do the same. And I'm just going to finish sewing this down now. Okay, and that is now fully sewn down. Just double checking before I, as always, just weave my yarn tail through. Cut this. So the next thing we're going to do is to make the back feet. I've already gone ahead and made one of the back feet. Let's make the other one together. So for round 1, we're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets in a magic circle. Then for round 2, we're going to increase all the way around, so that will give us 8 single crochets at the end of round 2. Okay, so that's round 2 complete. We've got 8 single crochets. Now for rounds 3 to 8, you're simply going to single crochet all the way around, so I'll meet you at the end of round 8. So I've reached the end of round 8. This is what the foot looks like. I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a tail for sewing, pull that through, and then we're going to just close up this remaining hole at the back of the foot. Just by, again, going through the front loops only of each of the final 8 stitches. Just pull on that and then weave your yarn through to the side of the foot, ready to start sewing that down. And once you've got 2 feet, come back and I'll show you how to sew these to the body. As you can see, I've sewn down this back foot and I'm going to do the other one with you now. So I've pinned it in place. You just kind of want to position it underneath the leg part like this, and I'll show you exactly how I'm going to sew it down because I've got a bit of a method to it. I'm going to try my best to get this properly on camera for you as I'm doing it. So we're going to start by sewing the side closest to us down to the bottom of the body. It doesn't particularly matter how neat you are with this because you're not going to see it. I'm not going to go all the way to the end. I'm probably going to stop about here roughly, and just, again, I'm always checking the positioning as I go along just to make sure that I'm happy with it and I don't need to unpick anything. But now what I'm going to do before I get all the way to the end, and I'm just going to remove this pin as well to get it out of the way, I am now going to start sewing down some stitches further inside on the foot, just to get us up to the point where the leg starts. So 2 should do that. Again, just checking the positioning on that. And now what we're going to do is just sew down some of these more middle stitches to where the leg starts. And I will actually just remove this other pin as well because it's just getting in the way now. This might be the last stitch, I think. Okay, then I'm just going to, again, check the positioning of that, make sure I'm happy with it. think that looks okay. So I'm just going to weave my yarn tail through to the bottom of the body, and then I'll just snip that. So next we're going to move on to doing the front legs. I've made one of the front legs, so this is what it looks like. So it's just one piece for the front legs, one piece. And we're going to start off with our beige yarn by doing 5 single crochets in a magic circle for round 1. Then for round 2, increase all the way around to get you up to 10. Okay, so at the end of round 2 you should have 10 single crochets. Now for round 3 you're going to just single crochet all the way around, but just in the back loops only. Then for round 4, single crochet all the way around, but now in both loops as normal. Now in round 5 we're going to do a couple of decreases, so we're going to start off by doing 3 single crochets. Then 2 decreases. And then 3 single crochets. So at the end of round 5 you should have 8 single crochets now. Then for round 6 to 10 you're simply going to single crochet all the way around, so I'll meet you at the end of round 10. I've reached the end of round 10 and added some stuffing. You want to stuff this fairly lightly, just because we've got 2 decreases positioned next to each other. That can sometimes cause a bit of a hole to appear here. You can do invisible decreases and things like that, but I've just decided to stick with the normal decrease and just reduce the amount of stuffing to try and, you know, not let the stuffing poke through too much there. We're just going to finish off by doing 1 row of 4 single crochets, so just turn your work and do 4 single crochets. This just helps us when we're sewing the leg to the body. And now cut your yarn, leaving a tail long enough for sewing. And when you've got 2 legs like this, come back and I'll show you how to sew these to the front of the body. I've sewn one of the front legs down. I'm going to do the other one with you now. You're going to position these just next to the back leg, sort of in line with roughly where the top of the back leg is. And I'm just going to whip stitch along the top to start with. Like that, and then I'm gonna just sew down a couple of stitches either side of the leg. then I'll go to the front and do a couple there. Just like that, and then I'm going to weave the yarn tail through like this, and then you can cut that. So that's the front legs added in. So now the final thing that we need to do is crochet the tail and sew that on. I've skipped ahead and crocheted the tail, so I'm just going to talk you through the rounds now. It's not very complicated. So round 1, 4 single crochets in a magic circle. Round 2, single crochet increase to get you up to 6. Rounds 3 to 4, single crochet all the way around. Rounds 5 to 6, decrease 3 single crochet increase, and that helps to kind of give it a bit of a curve in the middle, and that should keep you at 6 single crochets in each of those rounds. Then rounds 7 to 8, single crochet all the way around, so 6 single crochets in each round. Then just cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing, and now we're going to sew this onto the back of the body. I've just got one pin here to kind of try and keep it in place, but just you need to position it at the back of the body, sort of between where the 2 back legs, you can see them, and then we're just going to whip stitch all the way around. And I haven't stuffed the tail, by the way. You can if you want to, but I find that because the round was so small, there's not really any need for it. It stands up fine without any stuffing. So that's that done all the way around now, just again checking that looks fine, but I think it is good, so I'm just gonna weave my yarn tail through the back. And that is Chouchou completed, so I'll show you a better view of the finished Chouchou, and that will be the end of this video. So this is what my finished Chouchou looks like. As you can see, he sits up nicely. And that's him from the side. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.